week. At least I do. You guys don't have to practice. I know I have to practice. But yeah, so it's great because like you come up with a list and then we go through each one and then we kind of understand it from a case study perspective, right? Amazon not on the list looks great in my opinion. Yeah, I looked at Amazon, it's not on the list. I know. I was thinking like, why can't Amazon be on the list as well? Let me tell you why. It's just kind of stalling right now, right? Amazon's kind of in like the green light territory, at least the way I would by my rules and definition, it's in the yellow light territory. Give me one second. Let me press the button real quick. I mean, it does look good. Don't get me wrong, because sometimes like these moving averages, they what's the word? You get a fake out as well, right? So yes, it still looks good. Yes, I agree with you. You see this automated trend line right here. I like that as well. But the risk is the way I'm looking at it is I think I'll like it more, Edward, if we go over this line right here, right? To prove to me that we reclaim the 20 and above this line right here. So it's sort of like a rules thing, right? So because it's not over that, it didn't hit my yeah, I'm interested. Like the square one, I'll show you square real quick. Square hit the rule, and so it falls onto the list. But Amazon might come onto the list later, right? So if the markets behave, let's say, then yeah, I think it's going to carry everything up. So like this one right here, right? So this one falls into a perfect scenario. So you got that break of a trend line, right? It's rules based, held the confirmation of holding the 50-day moving average, and then now trading above here and trying to reclaim the 20. I like that, right? On top of that, oh, wrong button. On top of that, I like the big volume that came in as well, right? The above average volume, because we look at the average volume right here is 7 million. It's trading at 10.6. So yeah, I like that. I'm seeing a bull flag on it on Amazon, or I think yeah. Okay, let's go back to Amazon. Oh, I was on it already. Yeah, I mean, you could say I wouldn't say it's the sexiest looking bull flag. It's more so like descending triangle, right? Descending triangle would be something like this. And let me draw it out right there. That's a descending triangle, in which case, a scenario for a descending triangle could be something like that, right? That could be a scenario. Now, a rejection of a descending triangle could basically mean this, and that'd be good. So I'm looking for a rejection of that descending triangle. It's not a clean bull flag. If you want to talk about a clean bull flag, we'll probably pull up maybe RKLB over here. This is a clean bull flag right here. That might be something worth entertaining, right? Ah, okay, not the cleanest, right? It's kind of choppy, but it's still, it's sort of like a bull flag with a cup and handle, maybe, right? You got a little bit of a cup right there and sort of a handle right there, right? That could be a scenario. But yeah, like, I got 53 stocks I got to go over, and we'll comment on that. So, in other words, like, Amazon doesn't look bad, Edward. Like, it's still fine to me. You could clone this trend line, this bottom trend line right here. You could clone it and then stack it on top. Let me move that around. Oh, let me move that. You can stack it on top. You can see that, it's still holding that channel right there. So I still like it. It's still by rules base from like a midterm to a slightly longer term. Yeah, it's like it's positive. But from a near term momentum, like if I'm going to play options in the next week, I need it to be above that line right there. Just because it's just like if it's not, then the markets are not going to recognize that, and there's not going to be energy behind that move, if that makes sense. So I'd be a little bit more patient. Yes, there is a scenario where I think it flips this week. So right here, then yes. If there was a candle right there, Edward, then yes, I think it would fall into my rules right there, right? Then I would feel more confident, like yeah. So something that looks similar to this would be like an Nvidia. So we go NVIDIA over here, which is like it falls into the rules, right? So this is what I'm looking for. NVIDIA, you got a classic play, which is a reclaim of 50-day moving average. And look at that. Look at that reclaim right there. That's beautiful to me. Sorry, I'm getting a little too excited over here. That's beautiful right there, right? We could draw some lines to justify this right here. We draw a line right here, right? The more lines you could connect, right? That's justification right there. And a little bit of a blip in volume as well, right? That's justification right there. So stuff like that looks pretty entertaining to me. I like that. Uh, that's NVIDIA, right? And then let's go over to, I got 53 stocks today to look at. That falls into my criteria. But then I did add a few that's more like theme based. So like the crypto ones, right? The crypto ones is pulled back a bit, so maybe not yet. But looking at the screen right here, something like this one could definitely be a mover. So I'd be on the lookout for this one this week, more so than Amazon, right? So it has to meet a criteria, and this meets my criteria. I like this right here because it's the start of a move. We finally reclaim. Look, if you measure it, right, it was like a whole, approximately about a whole month right here, where we failed the 50-day moving average and we just hung out below it right here. So in other words, like we failed the 50-day moving average right here, and we just hung out for like a little bit over, almost a month. Finally, towards the end of the month into the new year, we reclaimed it, and now we're above it. So that tells me like, hey, we might want to play again. And if I look around, a lot of hardware stocks they look really good. So if you guys recall, one of the narratives that I think will play out in 2025 is probably the semiconductors. Again, that's still pending right now, but it looks pretty good, right? So it's just a matter of being patient, and we want to see a market environment where things get a little bit better, right? So we go to futures right here. This is what we want, and we want this to be lower, right? We want this to be down to like 15. Right now, it did go down, which is fantastic, right? It's down to 16, but I want it down below 15. That switch down to 15 might just be the trigger to kind of get active, right? John Robbins says Bitcoin has a clean bull flag on the monthly time frame. Let's take a look at that as well. We know these bull flags they work, right? We want to chase after them. Let me see. Let me see. So we go over here. We go this. We look at the monthly, and let's see what we're working with. Right? The cleaner the bull flag, the better, ideally. On the monthly, you say? I think you meant weekly, maybe. I'm on the monthly. I mean, I guess you could say it's sort of a little one, but then this was a better, better play right here, right? In which case, this was a clean play right here because, one of the guys, one of the big heavy traders out there, he was, talking about his trade. He made 50 million, $55 million when Bitcoin broke out right here, right? And that guy stacked pretty hard. Um, but yeah, that's a sample of like now. I think you're probably talking about this time frame right here, right, John? For example, like something. Oh, wrong one, wrong one. Something like right here, right? So that trader, I would expect if I were to follow his journaling, he probably entered where the arrow is right there, and he entered hard, like a lot, a lot. And then that trade resulted in 50 million. Because this was a yearly breakout, right? So we measure like how, what's the resistance of that? It was from 2024 to about almost 1 year right here. That was the range of the breakout right there. So it cleared the resistance of that almost 1 year resistance right there, and that thing just ran, right? Now Bitcoin just needs a little bit more time. So to the folks who are like emotional and like, oh, like Bitcoin's not playing out, they just don't realize that it's gonna do something like that, right? It needs to absorb, like the players will absorb, like the players at the top, they're going to be buying it right here, the Wall Street basically, or institutions. They're going to be absorbing it, and it's going to create consolidation right here, right? But most folks they don't understand that. But if you look around long enough, you kind of see this over and over. And well, let's just say, if you understand this stuff, I think we all have a positive future. We have a bright, 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 bright future. Oh, is that not the weekly bull flag that is currently on in the weekly? I think you said monthly in the previous one, so I switched it down to weekly. Because if you look at the monthly, is a little bit different. The monthly on